Well, welcome back to a short follow-up to a video that we did back in July where we broke out the crystal ball and the tarot cards to discuss Panasonic's contract with Tesla. So at the time, the news was all abuzz with the gloom and doom of how Panasonic's contract was ending and they were going to pull out of the Gigafactory and Tesla was in trouble and all of that. And at the time, I felt that it was important to try and educate folks a little bit about how these contract negotiations actually go, and that it was in nobody's best interest for Panasonic to pull out of the Gigafactory, and that just on the face of it was wrong. And then another factor that weighed heavily into that was Tesla's purchase of Maxwell Technologies. So in reviewing what was included in that purchase of Maxwell Technologies, I saw that they had a patented technology for manufacturing batteries using what they called a dry electrode manufacturing process. So I won't go into a great deal of detail about exactly what that is, but basically it eliminated the wet process that Panasonic uses to make their battery cells. And if you want a little more information on that, feel free. I'll link the original video, and you can go ahead and have a look at that. But I felt that it was very important to point out that in these types of contract negotiations, things like that patented process are then used as leverage to try and negotiate these contracts, these agreements. So the reason for this update video is that earlier today I got this. And that's an invite to the Gigafactory to bring your resume and be interview ready for positions, everything from floor operators to process engineers. And this invitation didn't come from Tesla. It came from Panasonic. Panasonic is in the middle of an expansion, a massive expansion at the Gigafactory. So with that, what does that mean short term for what's going on with the Gigafactory? Well, it means that they're going to have to figure out how to expand the operations, Panasonic's operations, at the same time that they continue manufacturing at their current level. So back in 2006, when our engineering group had re-engineered how Invisalign made its product, we went through a very similar phase where we had to take this new equipment and then bring it to the manufacturing floor in Juarez, Mexico. And so in order to do that, we basically built a manufacturing line around the existing manufacturing floor, and then as the volume of product rose, then we were able to then decommission the interior piece and then annex all of that area for logistics, basically. Now, this was a compromise. It wasn't obviously an ideal situation, but as we matured this new process, we then acquired a new plant, and that gave us more floor space. Well, now we could really leverage that new floor space to be able to move this updated equipment in where it should be and optimize the space. So something very similar is going to go on with Panasonic. Now, they have a lot more floor space to deal with than we did, and so they're likely going to be able to take this entire new dry electrode manufacturing process and flesh it all out in an area that doesn't affect what they're currently doing. And then as that system matures, they will then replicate that system and yank out the existing manufacturing plant and retool it so that it uses the exact same equipment as this new process. So long term, why would Panasonic do that? Well, I'm not privy to the exact wording of their new contract, but I'm willing to bet that that new contract lasts exactly as long as the newly acquired patents for the dry electrode manufacturing process. And the reason I say that is that in order to get Panasonic to buy into this, there had to be some light at the end of the tunnel. And I believe that the light at the end of the tunnel is the expiration of those patents. Now, what this likely means is that Panasonic isn't just leveraging this new technology at the Gigafactory, they're going to leverage it worldwide. And they wouldn't do that if Tesla was going to pull the plug on allowing them to license this new technology. So that's my rationale for that. But enough about what just happened. Let's go ahead now and take a look into the future a little bit, take a closer look at the batteries. So Tesla is in the process of developing solid-state batteries. People have known that for a long time. The speculation now is in how close they are to it. So back in April, during an investors conference, Elon Musk had stated a couple of things that I found to be really interesting. One of those was that they were talking about their robotaxi fleet and that they were moving from a 300,000 mile battery life for cycles to a 500,000 mile battery life with focus on achieving 1,000,000 miles on these robotaxis. Well, the only way that they are going to achieve that is by getting rid of the thermal liability that the existing batteries have. You can raise the amount of capacity that you have. That ultimately also removes some of the load burden on the battery. You have a type of battery itself that isn't as susceptible to thermal breakdown, and so therefore thermal management of that battery isn't as important. All of these benefits come from the solid state battery technology. So that dovetails into the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, and that is Tesla's competition. So recently in the news, there has been the release of Audi's e-tron and the release of Porsche's Taycan. And what's been very interesting to me has been Elon Musk's reaction to both of these vehicles. Some of it justifiably critical, but harsh in other ways. And I think that I'm starting to understand a little bit about why his reactions are the way that they are. I think he's terribly disappointed. I think that he realized early on the way that this needs to go is for the existing automotive manufacturers to start using Tesla motors, Tesla batteries, to use Tesla's autonomous vehicle technology, and then finally to buy into and use Tesla's supercharging network. Tesla's mission statement is to accelerate the mass adoption of electric vehicle transport. He didn't say that he needed competition. Competition's always good. It's a good thing to have, but it wasn't necessary. His goal is to accelerate the adoption of that technology. And I think that what he's seeing is he's seeing these existing automobile manufacturers being stubborn and dragging their feet and not being willing to work either with himself or one another. And this would be my cautionary tale. And please, leave your opinions as well in the comment section of this video. I would love to hear your opinions on the matter. But I think that the existing automobile manufacturers need to be very careful. Elon Musk may actually wind up using the exact same tactics against these manufacturers that the existing automobile manufacturers tried to use against Tesla, and that being the restriction of supply chains, trying to convince people not to work with Tesla, all of that. Well, Tesla's going to be making the solid-state batteries. They are likely going to license with a giant like Panasonic to also make these batteries. But Tesla's going to be in an interesting position in the next 3 to 8 years. And that is that because they will be the world's main supplier of these solid-state batteries, they'll also be in a position to be able to strangle the existing automobile manufacturers and ensure that either they work with Tesla or that they no longer exist as competition. So that's about it. I'd love to hear your own opinions on the matter, and we'll probably come back to this in a few months and see where Tesla's at with their solid-state battery development, with the announcement of the release of their truck and their semi and their roadster. I think all three of those vehicles are going to wind up leveraging the solid-state batteries. We already know, again, because of that conference call that he had in April, or the investor meeting rather, that he had in April, that one of the other things that he said about the solid-state batteries indirectly was that they were already working with this new battery technology in their power pack. And as a process engineer, that would be the exact environment that I would recommend using to test such a battery. And so I think we can take him at his word that that is exactly what is going on. So again, thanks for joining us. If this is the kind of thing that you enjoy hearing about, please feel free to like and subscribe. And as I said, leave your comments below and let me know what you think of all of this. Am I on track? Am I off base someplace? Did I miss something? And until next time, see you soon.